Swapin Party, and we have today with us Giorgio. Just tell us a bit about yourself and your company.
Yes, thank you. I'm Giorgio. I'm the CTO of Scality. Scality, we've been around since 2010. We are focused on storage. People will need a lot of storage on-prem.
So what kind of challenges that you see in this space? First of all, let's talk about challenges, then we'll talk about your solutions.
Yeah. So we focus on the object side of things. So the challenges for objects are that people want to keep that data forever because it could bring value in the future, right? It could be analyzed for some kind of AI software. It could be needed if you get sued, right? Some of our customers have to store data forever just in case they need to access it and to prove something. And it's not that easy to kind of, it's easy to do a backup. It's harder to actually use the data because you need to find it, you need to open it, you need to locate it. So and more of our customers keep the backup archive data in a live state so that they can access it at a moment's notice.
So to address this challenge, what solution did you come up with?
Number one thing is you don't want to know that your storage is there.
Okay, that's true.
So it's all about redundancy and self-healing.
Is it good or bad? You should know where your storage is, right?
And I mean, you should know where your data is, but you should not have to look at your storage system and babysit it, right?
Right.
So it should be self-healing. So if you look at some deployment on-prem that are like in the hundreds of petabytes, they have disk failures all the time. So the number one thing is the system should automatically detect failures and rebuild because drives fails all the time. So that's the number one thing. Then you should be able to connect any application to that storage. You don't want to think about, oh, is my storage compatible with this thing? So we built in a file access and object access into the system because we know that a lot of applications are still file and you need to be able to connect to them in a way that they know how to speak, right? So that's another challenge.
So your solution is for OpenStack or for customers or for anybody?
So our solution is for anybody. We work well in a cloud environment like OpenStack because we can be a good solution as the federated big pool of storage for all the services, but we run standalone on servers. So that's for the Scality Ring part. For Zenko, it's a product that is actually based on Kubernetes as a deployment model. So we can run on-prem.
Okay.
And we just open source Metal Kubernetes, which is our own kind of flavor of Kubernetes that we can run on-prem.
Okay.
It also runs in the cloud. So natively in Google Cloud, for example, they have Kubernetes with GKE, but also in Azure and also in Amazon.
So, okay, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, typically you want Zenko the closest to your data.
When you open source, is it a product or just a project now?
So the Metal Kubernetes is an open source project. We happen to use it. We need to open source it because we think other people can be interested and we like to get feedback. And there was a talk yesterday. We got some interesting feedback out of that. So we like to engage the community with it. Our product is Zenko.
Right? Okay. So Zenko is based on this.
So Metal Kubernetes is just the base. Zenko itself is a lot of components that are deployed on top.
Right.
Because we couldn't find a good on-prem Kubernetes stack that we could use. Because our focus is enterprise customers for on-prem, and they have needs of logging and statistics and security and all these kind of enterprise type need we couldn't find in the existing on-prem solutions for Kube.
Are any of your other software components also open source, or that is the first and only one?
So that's not the first. We had our S3 stack. We took the S3 protocol. Is open source. It's called the Cloud Server. It's also on GitHub. We have more than 2.5 million pulls on Docker Hub, so pretty happy about the traction. It was a small piece. Zenko is a much bigger piece that is now open source as well.
Originally, you're from France. Are you based in the US now?
Yeah, I'm based in Berkeley, and we have offices in San Francisco.
So are you a purely US-based company, or you also have some presence in Europe as well?
So we are Europe, Asia, and the US. Okay. So we have offices in Japan. We have activity in Germany, in UK, all over Europe. We have a big R&D center in France. And we also have engineers in San Francisco and in the Washington area.
So when you look at all these regions that you have presence, from cloud's perspective, how different are these markets in terms of adoption or?
Yeah. So the US market leads on cloud adoption again, because people are more used to kind of benefit from external resources. In Europe, it's a little bit slower, For example, people in Germany want to keep their data in Germany, right? And the countries are smaller, so that makes it less of a global cloud that they can use. But we see that coming as well. But the US is leading on the cloud side. Yeah.
Right. But when you talk about cloud, there are two kinds of cloud: public cloud and private cloud. Yeah. So is there also any
Yeah,
difference?
I was referring only to public cloud. In terms of private cloud, yes. We have very good business in Europe of people wanting to build their own cloud.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And to build their own cloud, they need a storage platform at some point. They start thinking containers, start thinking VMs. And when they have all of that ready, they need somewhere to store all that data. And that's where they build their own private storage clouds.
Awesome. Do you just deal with the storage, or there are any other areas of cloud that you look at, or storage is your strength?
So so it's mainly focused on storage, but storage is evolving, right? Now there's a concept of metadata. It's always existed, right?
Right.
But you have so much data today that without metadata, it's like impossible to locate your data, especially in multi-cloud. So why did we build Zenko? It's because our existing customers were all asking, you know what, I want to use the cloud for some application, not for all my data, and I will likely use a lot of different clouds, like public clouds, because they don't have the same features. And so in that case, let's say you have some data on-prem, some videos, and you want to send them to Azure for some kind of a transcoding process. You only want to send the video that you want to transcode. And how do you know that? It's through the metadata. So Zenko adds a lot of metadata intelligence and indexing and search capabilities so that you know exactly where your data is at any point in time, and you can decide what to copy, what to replicate easily.
Do you think machine learning can play a role there?
I do think machine learning can play there. You know, the most smart storage is actually just doing tiering. That's what we call smart today. There's a lot of room for improvement and for using AI, especially when the metadata gets very rich. And so it's good that you touch on that topic. So the first release of Zenko supports 5 clouds, so Amazon, Azure, Google, Wasabi, and DigitalOcean. We'll add more. And the next release of Zenko will add what we call the workflow engine, which is driving that intelligence. It's not going to be as smart as AI, but it's an open open workflow engine, so that other company can build their own plugins that will allow you to apply real-time decision on your storage.
Right.
And so some of them plugin will be about AI.
And one more I'm talking about, because machine learning, and there another keyword that I hear a lot about in this conference, and that is IoT. And when you look at IoT or edge computing, nowadays a lot of processing is happening at the edge. A lot of, because of latency or privacy or all of it, they don't want to send all this data to the server all the time. So do you think that is also creating either new challenges or opportunities for storage?
Yeah, so with challenges come opportunity, right?
Exactly, that's why I said.
And so I see the opportunity side myself. So we have actually prospect in that area to use Zenko at the edge. So at the edge, you don't do the same kind of processing, but in the back, right? It's got to be less intensive CPU-wise or GPU-wise. It's more about filtering and removing data that you don't want to keep because you are not allowed to keep it, or because it's not useful, or because you already have it in the central location. So with Zenko, we can deploy small Zenko pods, let's call them pods, at the edge, with maybe something like 10 to 100 terabytes of storage that serve as a buffer. So that some metadata filtering can be done, some small detection of validity of images, for example, can be done. And then whatever is still useful after that can be copied to a main site. And we see that a lot, especially with smart cars, where there's a lot of data coming in, a lot of videos coming in. You need to do AI training, but the AI training is only of quality if the data source is of quality, right? Data set should be high quality. So you do all this upload at the edge, do some filtering at the edge. Whatever is of value, you send it to the main storage system.
I mean, I was giving some consumer-centric example, but even enterprise, we are creating so much data. I mean, if we look at movies, nowadays new compression technologies are coming up. So the quality of the film remains the same, but they compressed the whole file size. So you're still, so as we are creating more and more data, at one point it will be just way too much, to handle all the. For 20 years from now, it will. Zettabyte of, I don't even know how much data will be there. So first of all, how useful it will be, and or should storage companies also focus on kind of coming out with new technologies so that the data doesn't take that much? I mean, I don't know whether this question makes sense.
I think it's a lot of question of governance, right? Because to be able to delete, you need to know.
No, I'm not talking
what to
deleting.
delete, right?
I'm just talking about the compression of data, so that the data doesn't take the same size, that you don't have to spend 20 terabytes of
We don't see that trend today. We don't see people trying to compress more out of the data. We see a lot of need for deduplication. So we're moving the data that's already there and that you don't want to store twice. But in terms of compression, I think the first challenge before you can manage it and maybe go further is to know what you have. And so we're still on the metadata phase of things. And I think later on, maybe that will come up. But today, the industry is still at the where the hell are my files and what are they?
Exactly. Because as a science fiction writer, I was watching Black Mirror. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I love Black Mirror.
Yeah. So when I look at that, there are some shows, where they have storing memories, and at that high quality, that's a lot of data. So you cannot store all of that, no matter what you're talking. So you do have to compress, data as well. So in future, just the way right now, it will, at some point they'll have to think.
And that's a good point, because there was a Black Mirror episode where they were basically able to recall memory. And in that thing, you see that the details are not always the same, right? So it's a selective quality depending on the importance of the details, like our brain works, right? We don't keep high quality of everything. We keep high quality of memories attached to strong emotions. And so I think this is going to come the same to kind of IT. You keep high quality definition of things that matters.
Yes.
And then the rest you can keep a lower quality, like a thumbnail, and that's good enough. But that requires AI and intelligence into your metadata, your data, your access patterns to make the right decision.
Right. So, so from your perspective, I mean, this is kind of far-fetched in future, but from your perspective, what are the immediate challenges there?
In the data storage? Yes, I think the immediate challenges are controlling where your data is, making sure you're compliant. You heard about GDPR. There's a lot more rules that are coming. Different industries have different rules, so you need a lot of governance on your data. You know where you are, when you should forget it, which one belongs to which user, and that's a big metadata concern, which try to tackle. And being able to, in real time, decide where the data should go is part of, I think, the challenge. And with Zenko, we think the workflow engine, which is our next big release, is going to give a lot more power to the user.
Right.
So that's a change. Instead of saying, oh, my storage is dumb storage, but I just send my data to die, right?
Right.
It's more of a, I can accomplish things with storage.
And beyond running a company, beyond talking about technologies all the time, what else do you do in your free time, other than watching Black Mirror?
Yeah, I try to limit the Netflix as much as possible. I'm actually a musician.
Oh, really?
I'm a guitar player. And I'm a big fan of the 90s guitar shredders like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani. So I play every day. And now I'm kind of working on an album and building all of that together. Yes. And so in the next few months, it's going to be online.
So will you be announcing your album at next OpenStack Summit or DockerCon or KubeCon?
Maybe I can play at the next OpenStack Summit.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much for talking to me today, and hopefully we'll see you at the DockerCon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.